On this package, National and State House of Assembly Elections Petition Tribunals began sitting in New York, adjourned 7 petitions to May 8, 2015. Governor-elect Udom Emmanuel of Akwa Ibom State Government set up transition handover committees. Governor private vices Christian clerics against false prophecies. And 3 days workshops for staff of Directorate of Programs of AKBC ends today as Nigeria Guild of Editors elect new officers. Details of these and more in a moment. Very good morning to you. This is AKBC 45 News at Dawn. My name is Agnes Udo King Brown. The National and State House of Assembly Elections Petition Tribunal for Akwa Ibom State began its sitting today in New York. The inaugural meeting of the tribunal, which is sitting at the former Sanitation Court, number 8 Ayoidwok Street, off Kemba Street, Uyo, was witnessed by members of the Nigerian Bar Association and other dignitaries. The petition started sitting yesterday. The rest of the story is presented in our studios.
The 3-member panel appointed by the President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Z.A. Bolkachua, has Justice Adedajo Oyebanji as chairman, with Justice Bola Shwaibu and Justice J.C. Igu as members. Speaking after the inauguration, the chairman, Justice Adedajo Oyebanji, said that the panel was set up to enable aggrieved parties in the just concluded national and state assembly elections to ventilate their grievances. She emphasized that Section 285, subsection 6 of the 1999 Constitution requires election tribunals to deliver judgment in writing within 180 days from the date of filing of the petition. Justice Oyebanjo promised that the panel would be just, efficient and speedy in the dispensation of justice and advise parties and counsels to avoid frivolous interlocutory applications. She urged counsels and litigants to familiarize themselves with the provisions of the Electoral Act 2010 as amended, inclusive of the rules of procedure in the first schedule therein. Meanwhile, hearing on 7 petitions brought before the tribunal today in Uyo have been adjourned till 8 of May 2015. The petitions are those by Obong Inibere Matthew Okorie of the All Progressive Congress APC against the election of Chief Gospel Akpabio, elected for Akwa Ibom Northwest seat in the March 28 elections, and that of Uwe Mudoma of APC challenging the election of Mr. Emmanuel Ekon of the others weighed the petition by Ofiong Shet Amos against Emmanuel Ukoite of the PDP, Edwin Joseph of APC versus Michael Ekong Young of PDP, Ime Ukon Basi of APC against Dr. Henry Achibong of PDP, Daniel Ifyongokpan of the APC and Samuel Ikon of PDP, and Barrister Imo Ifyongokpan of APC versus Engineer Ibora Sokwekanam of PDP.
As the 29th May handover date approaches, the governor-elect of Akwa Ibom, Udom Emmanuel, has set up a 20-member transition committee with Chief Sonny Akwadia as chairman and Mr. Demo Ford as the vice chairman. A statement by the chairman publicity committee of the Divine Mandate Campaign Organization, Mr. Nekanumana, who is also the State Commissioner for Information and Communications, indicates that the committee, which has Barrister Emmanuel Naidem as secretary, will be inaugurated today, Thursday, 30th April, by 2 o'clock in the afternoon at the banquet hall of the Government House. Other members of the committee are Right Honorable Isio Kwomodo, Bishop Andrew Nwanta, Dr. Chris Akpan, Barrister Jerry Akpan, and Professor Ibe Basi. The statement indicates that Dr. Chris Myung, Barrister Godiu Mo, Right Honorable Niekan Akpan, Mr. Kennedy Akwawo, Professor Maria Iko, Honorable Sarah Ikod, and Barrister Comfort Etuk as to serve in the committee. Also serve on the committee are Dr. Mrs. Majuri George Abasiodion, Mr. Nyomo Soro, Mr. Semo, Right Honorable Kenneth Okun, Mrs. Ekaite Ibierobon Usup, and Mr. Bernard Duncan. Similarly, Mr. Umana said the State Governor, Chief Gospel Akpabio, has also constituted a transition to handover committee with the head of civil service, Mrs. Cecilia Odoyesian, as chairman. According to the statement, the Information Commissioner, Mr. Nobonwa, is the secretary, while Item, Prince Uwemi Taito, Dr. Mwabasi Basi, and Sada Sebulum will serve as members. Other members appointed to serve on the committee of the outgoing administration are Dr. Glorede, Professor Ibe Basi, Obong Senas Okwana, Mr. Kanukun, and Mr. Nyakan Umana. The committee also include Professor Tom Antai, Right Honorable Ignatius Sede, Honorable Monday Uko, Engineer Tirian, Right Honorable Nete Etuk, Honorable Bangatang, Obongwan Grace Ekong, Rasa Mercy Sang, Sir Udo Isobara, Elder Basia Sang, and Basa Wumedi Monguku. Members of the two committees are to work harmoniously to ensure a smooth transition from the present administration of Chief Akpabio to incoming government of Mr. Dom Emmanuel. The National and State Houses of Assembly Election Petition Tribunal, sitting in the use yesterday, struck out the motion brought before it by Obong Polo, challenging the election of Engineer Bore Kanam as member-elects of the House of Representatives for Ikono in a federal constituency. The chairman of the tribunal, Justice Adedayo Oyebanji, gave the decision after counsel to Obong Polo had withdrawn the motion he had filed on behalf of his client. Counsel to Obong Polo, in an interview, however, declined comment as to whether his client was withdrawing from the case. Governor Gospel Akpabio has stressed the need for Christian clerics to refrain from uttering prophecies that are not ordained by God. The governor, who bared his mind yesterday after declaring open 33rd Council of Bishops of Methodist Church Nigeria ongoing in Uyo, noted that some church ministers have complicated matters for politicians through false prophecies, which hate out the system and stampede people into contesting elections they never planned for. Edward Sahai tells us more.
Represented by the Commissioner for Housing and Urban Renewal, Sir Adasi Obolum, the governor charged Christian bodies to evolve mechanisms for weeding out fake prophets from their fold for the good of the society. The governor said the time has come for the church and nation to emphasize leadership by example, adding that leaders must pick up and condemn evil for the nation not to miss its course. While applauding the theme of the 31st Bishops' Council meeting, Aglow in the Spirit, the governor pointed out that failure of the leadership of the church to be spiritually vibrant makes worship a hollow ritual. He commended the Christian church for the sustained prayers that has made the peaceful conduct of the 2015 general elections possible against doomsday prophecies.
So if this thing must be meaningful not only for Methodist Church Nigeria as a church, if this thing must be meaningful to the Nigerian nation, then the leadership of the church must be embedded in this spirit, must radiate the tenets of the Holy Spirit, must be brave to condemn what is evil, must be ready to speak up like Ezekiel was assigned to do for this nation not to miss its course.
The Prelate Methodist Church Nigeria, His Eminence Dr. Samuel Chukwemeka Kanuche, called on politicians to see their mandate as a call to serve rather than to rule, and therefore always put the people's interests first. The prelate urged those who lost at the polls to exercise restraint in their utterances and in their body language. The prelate singled out President Goodluck Jonathan's conceding of defeat and averting bloodshed in the nation for commendation, saying the feat qualifies the president for the Church Mandela Leadership Awards.
I know that our very friend as the governor-elect of the President Goodluck Jonathan for his election and next network of this state. I do something that will follow the example of great successor and build on the topic of our
Earlier, the lay president of the Uyo Archdiocese of Methodist Church in Nigeria, Professor Emmanuel Udo, had in a welcome address urged the Bishops' Council to endeavor to implement decisions arrived at with zeal for the good of the Church. He expressed the hope that the converge of more than 80 bishops, archbishops, and their spouses in Uyo will usher in a new era of spiritual blessings and development in the Uyo Archdiocese. Earlier in the sermon at the Emmanuel Methodist Cathedral in Tamitoi, Most Reverend Christopher Ide, who preached on the theme "Aglow in the Spirit," said God does not love people who are not zealous. Most Reverend Ide said Christians who are aglow in the Spirit are always called upon to give the answer to pressing problems facing their generation. The opening session of the 33rd Bishops' Council, hosted by the Archbishop of Uyo Archdiocese, Most Reverend Emmanuel Udofia, featured intercessory prayers and hymns. It was graced by church leaders from across the denominational divide in the true spirit of Christian unity. Assign reporting.
The wife of the governor, Mrs. Ekaito Onoma Akpabio, has appreciated God for His grace and blessings in the past 8 years. Mrs. Akpabio was speaking during a government house monthly prayer meeting, touched but strong in the Lord, organized by the state government and held at the St. John's Chapel, Governor's Lodge, Uyo. The report is here presented.
Mrs. Akpabio thanked God for the increase and the grace to remain focused on their mandate in the face of distractions, challenges and pressure. She thanked members of the State Executive Council for being in the Uncommon Transformation Project, adding that their services to their fatherland at this period were appreciated. She also appreciated the clergy for their continued prayers and support for the administration over the years, and prayed God to reward them abundantly. She encouraged them to continue to pray and support the incoming administration.
The government of Akwa Ibom State and the people God of you has desired. Thank you for all for us. Thank you for all time to pray for us. Pray collectively as a group, as a family. I can't thank you enough.
Archbishop Cletus Bassi of Destiny Chapel, Uyo, reading from the Ephesians 6 verse 10, a prayer for keeping up as a family over the years. He thanked the governor specifically for the insight and vision in setting up the prayer meeting, saying without vision it is impossible to succeed. He advised governors to mentor persons that will take over from them, just as the governor and wife have done.
To help people who are courageous. Courage. So outside competence, courage. You see, don't be confused. Let's be clear what we are doing. Let's be clear what we are not. You know, one of the things that I have challenged people when they are.
Monsignor Emmanuel Yareto, in his remarks, thanked God for His love and care to all for the last 8 years. He also thanked the governor for giving them the privilege to gather every month to pray at the government house, saying that it has been a great assembly.
Let me thank His Excellency for giving us this rare privilege to be gathering here every month. We want to thank Him for His consistency and resilience.
Offered for the peaceful transition of government in the state and country, as they were sung by the government house choir and the melodious tunes. The presidents, commissioners, special advisors, members of others.
The news continues after the break. Stay with us.
This is a public service announcement. The government of Akwa Ibom State wishes to bring to the notice of visitors and residents of the state steps to take in preventing the incidence or spread of the deadly Ebola virus disease in Akwa Ibom State. The Ebola virus can be contacted through any of the following ways: contact with the body fluids of those who are visibly sick from the disease, contact with the corpse of somebody who died from the disease, contact with an animal that is carrying the virus, especially fruit bats and monkeys. Symptoms of this deadly disease include sudden high fever, persistent headache, diarrhea, vomiting, general weakness, joint and muscle ache, sore throat, chest pain, internal and external bleeding. To prevent this disease, wash your hands regularly with soap and water. Keep your environment clean and properly fumigate your surroundings if you have pests around. Report any suspicious symptoms in yourself or anyone to the nearest health facility immediately you notice them. Medical personnel should use personal protective equipment when handling suspected cases and corpses. Be careful when handling dead bushmeat. Spread the message. Tell your neighbors, colleagues, domestic staff, family members and friends. Akwa Ibom is safer when everyone is educated about Ebola. For more information, call the helplines 0812 769 8984, 0812 769 8959. 0812-769-8949. Ebola kills fast. Spread this message faster. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Information and Communications, Akwa Ibom State.
You're welcome back. The Akwa Ibom Broadcasting Corporation, AKBC, has commenced a 3-day workshop for staff of the program's Directorate Television Service as part of efforts to bring the workforce up to date with the emerging trend in broadcasting. The workshop is taking place at the AKBC transmitting station in Danyang, especially for graphics artists, cameramen, floor managers, film editors, producers, and transmission directors. Declaring the workshop open, the Acting Director General of AKBC, Mrs. Elsie Udofia, said that it was aimed at ensuring quality productions in line with global best practices. Mrs. Udofia, who also delivered a keynote address, stressed that sales broadcasting is a chain process that was need to maintain synergy with parties concerned, including cameramen, film editors, floor managers, graphic artists, and production editors for effective service delivery. With the quality of resource persons, participants will receive the basic rudiments to function optimally in their various units. She will take the worship serious in order to justify its essence.
Because the television work is a team. Being good team players, we will not achieve our end. So this workshop is very important, especially now that over time, over the past couple of years, what is emphasized is content. And that means that content is the king in whatever we are doling out.
In his welcome remarks, the workshop facilitator and Deputy Director Programs, Television, Mr. Funky Boite, employed participants to take advantage of the 3-day training to increase their knowledge in broadcasting.
And see how we've been doing fine. We were just actually know what we were doing. I think at the end by the grace of God, some sort of self-appraisal, you will realize that.
In a presentation, Dr. Nsikan Abasinkan of the Department of Communication Arts, University of Uyo, charged participants to imbibe the culture of broadcast media aesthetics for better production and presentation. Dr. Nkan took an overview of the emerging trends in broadcasting, the aesthetics dimension.
The capacity of the transmitter to conduct the signal to a particular area, and then if it is tired, it attenuates. Attenuation means it stops. You cannot go. That's why we always have a booster station at the front to rekindle the message or the signal and send it back.
Other papers presented at the worship were on roles relationship, handled by the Acting Director General, Mrs. Elsie Dofia, while Mr. Emmanuel Akro of the Program Directorate lectured on the role of graphics in contemporary broadcasting. A presented by the Director of Marketing, Eldaito Bukanya. The workshop will end today, Thursday, 30 April 2015. President-elect General Muhammad Buhari retired has stressed the nation's media to fully support the new government that will be sworn in on May 29 to enable Nigeria the much talked about change. The presented by the Vice President-elect Professor Yomi Osibanjo was addressing the opening event of the 2015 Biennial Convention of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, NGE, at the Lagos Airport Hotel, Ikeja. He argued that now that elections have been concluded, the media must shake its responsibility of being the watchdog by ensuring that government activities were correctly presented to the people. While administration's commitment to building a country every Nigerian would be proud of, the president, however, believes that such lofty plan will be unattainable without the support of the media. In a chairperson of the event, Mrs. Dope Ajayi Badebo, reasoned that for any democracy to thrive, it is imperative for the society to have vibrant media. She expressed regret that a large number of practitioners were responsible for overheating the polity in their coverage and reportage of the concluded elections. Given the scorecard of his administration in the last 2 years, the President, Mr. Femi Adesina, noted that since assuming office in 2013, his administration had been able to live up to his promise of the interests of members by embarking on the programs that would further enhance their welfare. One of such programs Adesina explained was his capacity development programs designed to train editors in collaboration with the School of Media and Communications of the Pan-Atlantic University in Lagos, as well as in other training institutions abroad. He said that his administration has been able to grow the NGE's revenue base to more than 200 million naira, which will enable it to build a befitting secretariat for the Guild in Abuja. Meanwhile, Mr. Femi Adesina, who is also the Managing Director and Editor-in-Chief of the Sun newspaper, has been re-elected as the President of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. With the re-election, Mr. Adesina, who was first elected in Ibadan in 2013, will continue to lead the Guild for the next 2 years. 16 other officers were elected, including Akwa Ibom Victor Eba, who becomes the General Secretary of the Guild. Members of the Nigerian Guild of Editors who attended the convention from Akwa Ibom State were Chris Nka, Chris Ikpoto, and Comfort Mana of the AKBC, Marvelous Friday Odo, Margaret Edem, and Obiota Ekanum of the Pioneer newspaper, as well as Ipong Esianudom of the Ministry of Information. With the election concluded, the stage is set for this year's annual Nigerian Editors Conference later in the year at the venue to be announced later. The remains of Elder Basi Esiene Ede, who died at the age of 75, have been buried at Ibam, Ede, in a local government area. The funeral was conducted by the Mount Zion Lighthouse Full Gospel Church, Ibam Ede Diocese. The funeral attracted people from all walks of life, including staff of AKBC and those from the State Ministry of Information and Communication. Udemo Konko filed the story read in our studio.
What he read? The Houseful Gospel Church, Ibamede Diocese, advised them to live a transparent life, account before the Almighty God. Can explain that those will receive eternal life and describe the disease as one while he was alive, in the number of that came at death. In a the late Elder Bassey CNT was to honor God and serve the community well. According to one of the disease blessing Mike Leto, the late was and social mixer who started his with the agency having the SDP where he held offices at the local level.
Late Elder Bassey Etienne was simple and a gentleman to the core. He always loved attending social gatherings. Eteba was a symbol of peace and justice everywhere he went.
In the management and staff of AKBC and the former man described as a straight and his community. The photo ask God to guide them.
This message also is from Rataro AKBC TV chapter to and
Economical capacity who was very close to me. He had a straightforward man.
The disease, Mrs. Michael Leto, and the of communication, who got for the honor done. Mrs. Kelekaito is a staff of Akwa Ibom Broadcasting Corp.
I'm also delighted to be alive and hearing my father.
LIC is survived by children, great-grandchildren, and many other.
As part of ongoing operation by the Nigerian security forces to reclaim Sambisa Forest that has been Boko Haram's major camp, close to 3 women and girls have been rescued. King Salman of Saudi Arabia has announced Interior Minister Prince Mohammed bin Nayef as Crown Prince. This is in Channel 45 National for a news segment with Marcia Kara.
The Nigerian military have rescued 200 girls and 93 women during a military operation to reclaim the Sambisa Forest from Boko Haram terrorists. However, the abducted girls from a school in Chibok may not read. The government says the women and girls are from Bunsiri, a village in Borno State. Nigerian military have in recent months reclaimed most of the territories previously under the Ram. Weapons were seized at the camps during operation by the military. The organization has announced the handover of the Telecommunications PLC, NITEL, and Mobile Telecommunications and the NATCOM consortium after 5 failed attempts to private the telecommunications company. Capital injection of about $1 billion to identity will be unveiled after clearing off the liabilities. And Burundi over seeking a third term, authorities have cut off mobile access to several social network services including Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter. Authorities in Burundi ordered telecom operators to block access to certain sites. Citizens took to the streets to protest. The government has also shut down the main independent radio station.
There's in our package this morning. You can also watch AKBC TV News online by logging on to akbconline.org or follow us on Twitter at AKBC45U or on Facebook at AKBC Channel 45. Before look at the major stories. The National State House of Assembly Election Petition Tribunal for Akwa Ibom State began sitting yesterday in Uyo. The inaugural meeting of the tribunal, which is sitting at the former sanitation court, number 8 Eyedok Street off Nkemba Street, Uyo, was witnessed by members of the Nigerian Bar Association and other dignitaries. Governor Godswill Akpabio has stressed the need for Christian clerics to refrain from uttering prophecies that are not ordered by God. That is it, our package this morning. Thanks for watching.
Inform other stations as regards network coverage and bringing straight away, activating and entertaining. It's AKB.